now the party
This is move of the
starts.
day.
Imagine playing a 14-year-old boy and then realizing he's already playing like a future world champion.
That is going to go down in history as his evergreen.
Move after move of sheer genius, culminating in one of the greatest final queen sacrifices I've ever seen. But just how good was this attack in the eyes of a chess computer, and why has no one yet talked about the one thing that made this attack truly historic? This is Kaan Erdogmus's immortal game versus 19-year-old Indian Grandmaster Aditya Mittal, played in the FIDE Grand Swiss, September 2025. Prepare for chess history. We get c4 on the board as the explosive opening move. The clock times are on the left. We get ourselves a standard Queen's Gambit declined, and you could go for one of these solid, tried and tested moves, but we get takes here, allowing white to completely take the center. Yaz now attacks it immediately, and so the pawn slides on by. We get captures, opening the eyes of this guy. Triple decision for white. We see pawn takes back. Bishop d6 blockading. Takes here. Restores the material. Developing the knight here looks very natural, but then you run into a check. It's a bit annoying. The knight starts hopping. So that's why the knight comes to this slightly more unusual square. White should get his pony out onto the board, but we see this a little slow. But let's crack on with the game. Incredible attack to come. All the horses now on the board here, and after castles we see this one rotate round, hit that one, and it decides it wants to become a big pawn, but not today. Smashed off the board. Now it does allow white to cement that center, but in return, black gets the dreaded bishop pair. You can attack with these bad boys, lasering at the king, and it's why, after knight g6, we get this one centralizing, going after the bishop. You don't have time to back up, or the pawn starts marching. So this is how the game proceeded. Takes, queen recaptures. This one activates now. Pressures a pawn, does some lateral defense. This one defends, and a4 allows you to feel like an absolute chess boss as it glides down the board. Shut down, but it creates a weakness here. You could immediately start a little rook lift, head to here, try and eat it. Don't do this straight away. You get eaten down there. Excuse me. But instead, we get Chewbacca's favourite move, the Wookiee one, taking the open file. That's why Yaz does the same there. And after bishop e3, completing development, pawn h6, we now get this little rook lift idea, looking to munch down on the backwards pawn. So decisive action is taken in the centre with bishop e4. And the best way to try and defend is with bishop d2, open the queen's eyes like this. But knight d2 was played, and the trouble is you're leaving the defense of your king. Look at this for an attacking idea. It's knight h4, and you're double attacking the pawn now with 2 bits. Didn't mean to click that, but it serves a good point. This did not happen. Analysis mode. What if you take? Well, the rook streams in, attack continues, queen g6 is coming, just a different game. This didn't happen though. Instead, the way cooler bishop takes on c5 was played. Now you attack the black queen, and the idea is if pawn takes, well, you can take this bishop here. You hit the knight, you're activating, because when this bishop moved out the way, you opened the attack of 2 pieces over here. So Yaz fights back with queen to g6, steps away from this attack, and also threatens checkmate in 1. So pawn g3 covers all of the mating threats from both supporting minor pieces. And now just a swashbuckling move that starts the genius. The game finishes 20 moves from here. It's bishop g2. What an awesome move. If takes, you know, the knight's defending the bishop, so that's impossible. Well then, it's not about taking the pawn here, but going here. Check. And wherever the king goes, you get mated on this square. Whoops, got some rubbish popping up on my screen. This is a second checkmate. So you cannot touch the knight here. Immune. So instead, we see the fight back of bishop e7. Such a good move. Supported by the rook, trying to now eat that knight on the edge of the board. So bishop takes on h3 was played because you can't take here, or else there's a pin. You'd be an illegal move. You'd be in check. And you can't take like this, or your rook hangs. You suddenly wish this one was back on a1. Black's doing great there. So running back, we saw king h2. Hits the bishop. Unpins, of course, as well. You could retreat here. Allow the knight to drop, but then start a big attack against the king. Won't go down the line because Yaz plays the absolutely incredible knight g2. It's just bombardment on bombardment after incredible moves. If takes here, black's doing great. Bishop's hanging, you've just won a rook. So in the game, we saw the great rook lift. Aditya whispers, do you even rook lift, bro? Covering a square from the queen where she wants to check, and that's why f6 is played. Usually a very stinky, suspicious move, opening the king, but here it's great because you're stopping the rook from staying here and covering this square. But a fight back now, queen takes on b6. You can't take the rook or your queen drops off the board. They're both down under 10 minutes now. Absolutely picture finish. Knight f4 is therefore played. Just has no right to be on that square, but it covers the queen. So now you are threatening to take, but hang on. What if you take the free piece? Well, then mate in one. What an unbelievable game. Playing with black. He's 14 years old, playing like a world champion, and rook e3 apparently best. You know, it's genuinely attacked now. But this was played. It's on a slightly more loose square. Now you can't move the knight away, let's say here, because the bishop does drop. The knight's defending it. So in the game, we see queen h5. A brilliant c, although there's been many already, to be honest. And again, if rook takes, well, this is the game. So we're going to go down the line here. Discovered check is played. The king moves. The rook takes on e7, restoring material, although white's a pawn ahead. And what a deadly passer we've got here. Two passers, connected in fact. A photo finish on the way. This check is coming, but just before we dive in on that, a massive thank you to the sponsor of this video. It's UPDF, a product so good it speaks for itself. There's hardly anything to say, but in case you weren't aware yet, in case you're still using Adobe Acrobat, you've got to give this one a try for nothing else but the price point alone, coming in at like a sixth of the cost of Adobe. Let that one sink in. And that's not all. It can be used on 4 devices with one account. It's supported by all platforms: Windows, macOS, iOS, Android, lifetime free updates, powerful features, many of which you can see on screen right now. It's supported by GPT-5 and DeepSeek, the world's first customizable PDF solution, excellent security with monthly updates, you get the peace of mind, fast customer support, 30 money day back guarantee, plus you can now use it on mobile, on tablet. Get all the great features built in, the conversion to different document types, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OCR recognition, integration with Dropbox, OneDrive. It is genuinely very good. I've used it a lot over the last year. My third time letting people know about this. If you don't know about it, you should know about it. Really worth giving a try, seeing if it actually beats what you expected. Get rid of the Adobe, get UPDF. The link is in the description. You know the drill. Give it a try today. It's fantastic. Will save you a ton of money. Now back to the chess. What do we see here? It's rook a1 covering this invasion square. So we get the double up. threatening it once more, and so rook f1 very necessary. If you push the pawn, let's say, this is actually a mate threat. You have to block like this, and then you take, and then you actually deliver this mate. The bishop cutting the escape square. And if going back here, you tried to march this way, well, the queen steps in and mates there or there. So that's why this is played. Rook e1 still a great move, the best move, but this is played really low on time, down to like a minute each now. They're getting a bit of time back per move. It's given the question mark because if you go here, then there's this, and technically white's a little better with queen b1. Not an easy move to find, but okay, different game, still complicated. But in the game, we saw pawn d6. The rook now invades and hits the knight. Rook h4 now played. Great chess. Queen f5 stays with the bishop. And one of the best ways to go is just give up the exchange. It's such a monster. But queen b5 was played, saying you take my rook, I now take your rook, and my pawn is running. Sorry, you take my knight. I think I said rook. So in the game, we see a little rook lift, hits the queen. Does she move? No, she doesn't. What a game this is. Check would have been technically best, but let's stick with the game now because pawn d7 was played. And look at the plummet there of the bar, the Loch Ness monster. You can now play rook takes on d2. And although white can check, king goes and make a third queen. How epic is that? Black now has a stunning finish to end the game, and it is not takes here. And what is so incredible about this finish is Yaz has under a minute on the clock. The calculation, the speed, the chess blitz beast monster he is. The move he plays is queen takes on f2. Absolute stunner. Because after this, forced, you can't step with the king. Queen would have mated on one of the squares. You now do this. Check. If the rook were to block, well, you take and it's mate. What a bishop. So the king steps here. Check. Takes only move. Check. King here, only move. Fair play to Aditya, showing the mate. Check. King h5, only move. And here's the icing on the cake. The g-pawn cherry on top. That is checkmate. An immortal, historic, beautiful game. Do check out UPDF, links down in the description. And if you want to see another stunner played by Richie Rapport, have a look at the video on screen, and I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.